Hello children, this is my second video of lesson number 2 is matter around us pure. In my first video, I had completed activity 2.1 to 2.6. Now I am going to start activity 2.7. Activity 2.7. Is the dye in black ink a single color? So let us see the activity. We take a thin strip of filter paper and we cut it and we draw a line on it using a pencil approximately 3 cm above the lower edge, and we put a drop of ink in the center of the line. Then lower this filter paper into a test tube containing water so that the drop of ink on the water is just above the water level, and leave it undisturbed. And record the observation. We record our observations. You can see this diagram. Now what happens? The ink that we have used has water and dye which is soluble in it. So as the water rises on the filter paper, along with this water, it takes along dye particles. So a dye is what? A mixture of two or more colors. So the color which is more soluble rises faster. This way we see the color gets separated. Dark color, light color, the color gets separated. So this process of separating of components of a mixture is known as chromatography. Chromatography is the technique which is used for the separation of these solutes thus dissolved in the same solvent. So we can separate the colors of a dye using this method which is known as chromatography. So what are the applications of chromatography? Number 1, to separate colors in a dye, to separate pigments from natural colors, and to separate drugs from blood. In our previous activity we had seen that how to separate a mixture of two immiscible liquid, means those two liquids which do not mix, that means water and oil, using a separating funnel. So in activity 2.8 we are going to see how do we separate a mixture of two miscible liquids, that means two liquids that mix with each other. So in this activity we take water and acetone. We make a mixture of water and acetone. So how do we do it? We take the method we use is distillation. So we take it in a distillation flask and we fix it with a thermometer. See this diagram, apparatus is shown in figure 2.9, and we heat the mixture. The acetone vaporizes because it vaporizes and condenses in the condenser and can be collected in the outlet. We can see. So what happens? The acetone vaporizes and it is collected in the beaker and condenser outlet, and water is left in the distillation flask. So this method is only useful in two liquids whose boiling points are different. There should be some difference in the boiling point. Then only this method is useful. So the distillation method is used for the separation of components of a mixture containing two miscible liquids that boil without decomposition and have sufficient difference in their boiling point. So without that, so if the difference is not there in the boiling point, then this method cannot be used. But supposing you have two miscible liquids whose boiling point is, the difference in the boiling point is less than 25 Kelvin, then we use fractional distillation process is used. Fractional distillation, see the diagram. Fractional distillation. A simple fractional column has beads in it, glass beads. It is packed with glass beads. Now what is the function of glass beads? They provide surface for the vapors to cool and condense repeatedly. So how can we obtain different gases from air? We know that air is a homogeneous mixture of various gases. So how can we separate the gases present in the air? So what we do? First we compress and cool the air by increasing the pressure and decreasing the temperature. So we get liquid air. This liquid air is allowed to warm up slowly in the fractional distillation column. So here you see we can separate it at different heights. We have the boiling points of oxygen minus 183, boiling point of argon minus 186, boiling point of nitrogen minus 196. You have already studied their percentage air by volume. 78.1% nitrogen is present in the air and 20.9% oxygen, and argon is 0.9%. So you can see this diagram, components, separation of components of air. So if we want to separate oxygen from air, we can separate using fractional distillation method. Now we come to activity 2.9. How can we obtain pure copper sulfate from an impure sample? So supposing we take 5 grams of impure copper sulfate, dissolve it in water, and then using filter we separate the impurities out. Now we can heat this solution. So water gets evaporated and what is left in the beaker will be saturated copper sulfate solution. So we cover this solution with the filter paper and leave it undisturbed at room temperature. And then in the end we obtain crystals of copper sulfate. This method is known as crystallization. So by this method we can get salt from seawater. So what is the definition of crystallization? Crystallization is a process that separates a pure solid in the form of its crystals from its solution. So crystallization is better than simple evaporation. Why? Because some solid decompose, or some like sugar may get charred on heating to dryness. Some impurities may remain dissolved in the solution even after filterization. On evaporation, these contaminate the solid. Whereas in crystallization, this is not there. So crystallization, what are the uses or applications of crystallization? Purification of salt. So the salt that we eat, we get from seawater by this method, which is known as crystallization. Then separation of crystals of alum or fitachry we call from impure solid. In cities, drinking water is supplied from waterworks. The water that we get in our taps, we get it from municipality. How that water is made drinkable, how that water is purified, let us see. The water is collected in the reservoir. Then it is taken to sedimentation tank where the impurities are allowed to settle down. Then it is taken to loading tank, and where the impurities also are separated to sediment the suspended impurities, and then it is taken into filtration tank where the water is filtered, and then it is taken to chlorination tank where chlorine is added and all the bacteria are killed, and then that water comes to our house for drinking. Now we are going to study the next topic, that is physical and chemical change. What is physical change? Let us see. The interconversion of states is a physical change. For example, water changing into vapor, then or ice changing into water, water converting into ice. All these are physical changes. Now let us see what is chemical changes. What are chemical change? Chemical change bring change in the chemical properties of matter and we get new substance. A new substance is formed in chemical change. For example, burning of candle is both physical and chemical change. What are the types of pure substances? Substances can be classified into either elements or compounds. So what are elements? Element is a basic form of matter that cannot be broken down into simpler substance by chemical reactions. Now elements are divided into 3 groups: metals, non-metals and metalloids. In 8th lesson also you have studied about properties of metals, non-metals. So let us see again, revise the properties of metals. They have luster. Metals have luster. That means वो चमकते हैं. They have silvery grey or golden yellow color. They conduct heat and electricity. Metals are ductile. That means we can make metals into wire. They are malleable. If you beat them, they can be converted into thin sheets. Metals are sonorous. That means they make a ringing sound. So if I want to make a sound, I will take metals. For example, plate and a spoon. Then non-metals. What are the properties of non-metals? They display a variety of colors. Copper sulfate is a lovely color of blue. So different colors they have. They are poor conductors of heat and electricity. They are non-lustrous. Chamakte nahi hai. They are not sonorous and they are not malleable also. So example of non-metals are hydrogen, oxygen, iodine, coal, coke, etc. And the third group is metalloids. Some elements have intermediate properties. They have some properties of metals and some of non-metals. They are called metalloids. For example, boron, silicon, etc. Boron, silicon, etc. Then we come to compound. What is a compound? A compound is a substance which is composed of two or more elements chemically combined with one or another in a fixed proportion. For example, water. Water is a compound where two atoms of hydrogen combine with one atom of oxygen to form water. So let us see now activity 2.10. Activity 10. So divide the class into two groups. To one class we give iron powder or iron pieces 5 grams and 3 grams of sulfur to both the groups. Group 1 they mix and crush them. In group 2 they mix both of them, iron powder and sulfur powder, and heat this mixture and they remove it from the flame and they cool it. Now we have to do certain tests on these two groups, the sample of these two groups. So first we check for magnetism. So magnetism will be shown in the sample of group 1 because the pieces of iron or iron filings will stick to the magnet, whereas group 2 we see this doesn't happen because after heating a chemical reaction has taken place. Then we add carbon sulfide to one part of the material and add dilute sulfuric acid or dilute hydrochloric acid to the second part. So we see that the gas obtained by group 1 is hydrogen. Hydrogen is colorless, odorless and combustible. Whereas group 2 gets hydrogen sulfide gas, which is colorless but the smell is of rotten eggs. It smells like a rotten egg. सड़े हुए अंडे की smell आती है. So why this has happened? We see that group 1 has carried out the action involving only physical change, whereas in group 2 a chemical change has taken place. Why? Because they have heated them and a chemical reaction takes place. On heating the two elements we get a new compound which has totally different properties compared to the combining elements. Now let us see what is the difference between compounds and mixture. What is a compound and what is a mixture? Difference between them. Let us see. Okay. Elements or compounds just mix together to form a mixture. Mixture means elements and compounds are combining but no chemical reaction takes place. Or a compound, elements react to form new compound. So water is a compound whereas air is a mixture. A mixture has a variable composition whereas a compound has the composition of each substance is always fixed. For example, water. And always the water has the same formula H2O, 2 atoms of hydrogen combining with 1 atom of oxygen. Third, a mixture shows the properties of constituent substances, whereas here the new substance is formed which is totally different properties. For example, hydrogen is a gas, oxygen is a gas, but they combine together to form water which is liquid at room temperature. Fourth point of mixture, the constituent of mixture can be separated easily using physical methods, whereas by physical methods we cannot separate compounds. Now let us see this table. Matter. Matter has 3 states: solid, liquid and gas. So matter can be divided into 2 groups: pure substance and mixture. Pure substance are divided into 2 groups: elements and compounds. And mixtures are divided into 2: homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixtures. And see, the homogeneous mixture, they are uniform in composition, and heterogeneous mixture non-uniform in composition. Example of homogeneous mixture is sugar in water, salt in water, Example of heterogeneous mixture is sand and salt, sugar and salt, etc., water and oil, etc. Now let us see elements and compounds. Elements cannot be broken down into simple substance, and compounds have fixed composition, can be broken down, but by chemical or electrochemical reaction. Simply we cannot break them down. Example of element is copper, oxygen, iron, hydrogen, etc. Whereas compounds are water, methane, sugar, salt, etc. So with this we finish the lesson. Now students, you please read this what you have learnt 2 to 3 times. Then I will be sending notes. Please write down the notes and then we will do the exercise work of this lesson. I hope you have understood the lesson. If there is any doubt, please you can message to me and I will try to clear your doubts. Thank you.